What's up, fellas? Blue Dream MMA here. Today we're talking about UFC 305. It's taking place in Australia, Perth. We're going to see Israel Adesanya in his return fight versus Dricus still knocks Duplessis. So, great fight. We have the Stylebender versus DDP fight. Long time in the making. It has been the talk of the middleweight division since even before Poatan got really big, because Dricus Duplessis was talking about how he wants to be the first African champion and all that stuff. Of course, the Pereira timeline kind of sidelined all of that stuff, but you know how it is. And also the Sean Strickland loss from Adesanya also did sideline everything. We finally get to see the fight, and honestly, it's a banger. It's a banger of a card. It's stacked, nothing but good fights on it, But today we're only going to be breaking down the main card. You know how it is. I might give my predictions for the prelims at the end of the video, but yeah. Let me know who you think is going to win each fight, or at least the main event, in the comments, and let's begin. And so the first fight we're going to have in the main card is the Nightmare, Carlos Prates from Fighting Nerds. He's going to be fighting Li Jingliang. We all know Li Jingliang. He's probably one of the most stylish guys at 170. He's a fan favorite, fights often. A really aggressive dude, Chinese, not that many Chinese in the UFC, but he's one of them. And he's been consistent in the UFC. He wins some, he loses some, but he's always an exciting fighter, always down to scrap, always pushing the pace, tends to stand at a distance, not at a really big distance, but like mid-range kind of distance, and go to work using that. Sometimes goes for takedowns and stuff, but he's way more of a striker. He likes to go and throw heavy leather. He has some power in his hands, but not the most. But he still does have that. And now he's going to be fighting Carlos Prates from the Fighting Nerds. Prates is probably the best striker out of Fighting Nerds. He used to be fighting Muay Thai, kickboxing, while doing MMA at the same time, and he's had a pretty big, not a big MMA career, but like a pretty active career. He's 19-6 actually, despite having an 11 fight win streak. So that shows you that he bloomed a little later, kind of, But ever since, he hasn't lost. He's on an 11 fight win streak. He hasn't lost in years. He's a really, really good striker. Great boxing, kicks. He's a southpaw, really long. So he's going to be a problem, I believe, in this division. And I think there's going to be a problem for Li Jingliang, simply because of how technical he is. He likes to throw jabs, straights, and a lot of body work. He throws a lot of body kicks, a lot of leg kicks, and a lot of knees to the body. That's probably his best weapon. He has finished almost all of his fights that I've seen. The finish was the knee to the body. Like, he throws that left knee because he's a southpaw, so everything that he's going to be throwing, like power shot wise, is going to go straight to the liver. And he's finished so many guys with liver shots. Even in the UFC, he's done that. And I believe that this is what's going to happen to Li Jingliang. I think that Li Jingliang he's going to go, at first he's going to strike with him, but I think that he's going to make a business decision and wrestle with him a lot more. And I think that eventually, maybe in the third or the second round, he's going to eat a knee to the body coming in. And that's going to be the end of it. I think that's going to be finished in the second or third round. Carlos Prates by knee to the body. Next up, we have Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Honestly, Tuivasa, we all love him. We like the shoeies and all that stuff, but I don't believe that he's going to be celebrating too much. On Saturday, I think that he's fighting a really, really good striker, one of the best strikers in that division, the heavyweight division. Of course, he's not like a Cyril Gane type of guy, but he's a really technical striker. Like he's a Muay Thai guy himself, like kickboxing guy. He's pretty patient. That's probably his one biggest knock, is the fact that he's so patient. He likes to sit back a lot. He doesn't throw too many shots, but that makes him a little less exciting. But in his last few fights, he's been throwing a lot more. I think that versus Tuivasa, who himself likes to push the pace, likes to go forward, and likes to be aggressive because he's such a big power puncher himself, and it worked for him like in the beginning when he got in the UFC, but ever since he's been figured out. You can't just be bull rushing your way into KOs for forever. It's not gonna work even at heavyweight. It doesn't matter how much power you got. If you don't land, it doesn't matter. You're just a powerful dude that gets KO'd, and that's what happens to Tai Tuivasa. And I think that he's going to get finished in the first or the second. I think this is what's going to happen. I think he's going to eat a big overhand and get dropped and get finished that way. Now we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Man, I love Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker probably has one of the craziest schedules in the lightweight division. He's fought the who's who. He's fought everybody. He doesn't care, and he asks for these fights. The thing about these New Zealanders, they like to fight hard matchups. They ask for tough matchups all the time. You gotta respect that. Dan Hooker really does not shy away from anybody. He's down to fight anyone. But in this case, fighting a Mateusz Gamrot, it's a really dangerous fight for Dan Hooker. Not so much that he risks getting KO'd or finished, because I really doubt he gets KO'd or finished by Mateusz. But Mateusz is such a dangerous wrestler. Like not a dangerous, but like such an aggressive wrestler. I think that he's going to go and take him down over and over and over again, and try to really just beat him up on the ground with some ground and pound for the duration of the fight. Although I do think that Dan Hooker has a key to victory, and that is to throw a lot of knees, so that you can discourage Mateusz to shoot so much, and also go for like guillotines, not jump in the guillotine, but like just have it out there. Just have it out there. This is definitely something that I believe will throw off Mateusz Gamrot a little bit. He will become a little bit more hesitant when it comes to the wrestling. And Dan Hooker is a really high level grappler. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't think that Mateusz wants to leave his neck out there for Dan Hooker. But that being said, I don't think that Dan Hooker is coming up from City Kickboxing, the same gym as IZZY. So I like these guys. They're really good strikers, really fun fighters. But I think that Dan Hooker is just lacking something in this fight, and I think that thing is the defensive wrestling. And I think that Mateusz Gamrot is going to push a pace, and it's going to hold it the whole fight, and it's going to be a decision. That's what I see. 30-27, maybe 29-28. But I'm more confident in the 30-27 from Gamrot. And now the co-main event, we have Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg, I think they're doing this in order to possibly give him a much deserved rematch versus the champion Alexandre Pantoja. I think that the UFC was really pleased by what they witnessed at UFC 301, and I think that because of that, they're willing to give him a title challenger, and that's why he's fighting Kai Kara France. I personally think that he has all that it takes to beat Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France obviously I think that he's a better kickboxer, maybe a better overall striker, but I do think that Steve Erceg, when it comes to just pure boxing, he has the possibility to put up a clinic on Kai Kara France. Not to mention that he's a really good grappler, really good jiu-jitsu guy. He's a black belt himself, and he just has too many weapons to defeat Kai Kara-France compared to what Kai Kara-France has to defeat him. I personally think that Steve Erceg is going to be going a lot to the body with his punches, and I think that he will be in Kai Kara-France's face the whole fight. He'll be pushing the pace, really just dogging him around the cage and just pressuring him, because Steve Erceg has a really high pace, and that's something that Kai Kara-France has shown to have issues with, especially with Brandon Moreno, actually, and I think that Steve Erceg has a really good matchup. I think that Steve Erceg is really going to be assertive out there. He's really going to be assertive, and Kai Kara-France tends to be a little passive at times. He's not always pushing. He likes to sit back and watch. He's a really patient striker. A lot of these guys at City Kickboxing tend to be like that. They like to counter strike, except for Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker doesn't care. He is a really offensive striker. But yeah, I think that Kai Kara-France, unfortunately, does not have what it takes in that one. I really think that Steve Erceg is going to beat him by decision, maybe even a finish in the third round. Now, going to the main event, we have Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya. The main event, this one is a really hard fight to judge, because they both have performances where you can look at it and be like, bro, he has no chance. Personally, if you tell me that either of them come out with the performance that they had versus Sean Strickland, I think that the guy that does loses it. I do think that if both of them come with the Sean Strickland performance that they had, Israel Adesanya gets whooped. That's what I think. But I don't think that this is the same IZZY. That was a champion IZZY. We know how Israel Adesanya likes to fight as a champion. He really goes out there for only the win. He doesn't go for much excitement or anything like that. But Contender IZZY is different. Contender IZZY is a really mean fighter. He really looks for the finish. He looks to knock out his adversaries. And I think that this one's not going to be any different. I think that Israel Adesanya, especially with the brand new weight that he gained, we could tell already last year when he faced off against DDP, his neck was looking so much thicker, You could tell that he was probably around 210, 220, 215, something like that. But now he's 230 walking around. So IZZY is a much, much bigger dude. And I think that it's going to play in his favor, because DDP is so big himself for middleweight. And I think that with the style that he has, that kind of plays in Israel Adesanya's hands, because DDP is a really aggressive dude. He's really going to be pushing the pace. He's not going to be trying to be too technical with Adesanya. And this is something that a lot of middleweights have done in the past and lost their fights because of it. They try to be technical with a technician. I don't think that DDP is going to try any of that. I think that DDP is going to go out there, push a pace, be aggressive, be physical, wrestle, grapple, obviously, push him to the cage. This should be the game plan for DDP, not to go out there and strike with Adesanya. I think that striking with Adesanya is going to be his mistake, but I feel like this is what he's going to do. He's going to strike with him, and I feel like he's going to understand a few things out there. DDP himself is a good striker. He's a good kickboxer. But I think that he likes to leave that a little bit aside and really go. He's a really aggressive dude, so he likes to really throw sometimes and finds himself really out of position just because he throws with a lot of heat. And I think that this is something that will benefit Adesanya. Although if Dricus goes and takes a page out of Sean Strickland's book and go with straight punches the whole time and grappling, of course, something that Sean did not do, I think that he has a better chance. But I think that he's going to go out there, try to finish Adesanya, be a little over aggressive, and get himself beat up. I think that he's going to get hit by a lot of body strikes, a lot of body kicks, and a lot of straight punches to the face. I think that this is what's going to allow Adesanya to then feint a lot more, faint, and you will see. I think that you will have a flashback of these older fights of Adesanya where guys were just flinching whenever he was fainting a lot. You know, they were flinching. And I think that this is what we might see from Dricus Duplessis. But who knows? Dricus, I think that he has a good style because he's so awkward in his approach of fighting that he could cause a lot of problems to Adesanya. But I just think that the real issue here is going to be his striking. And I think that he's going to want to strike a little bit too much, trying to finish Adesanya, and this will be his demise. I think that champion IZZY is going to be back, and I believe that he's going to be the only fighter from City Kickboxing to win it. This is what I believe. Now, you know, I'm gonna break down the prelims. I'm gonna give you my winners for the prelims. We got some time. So the prelim, we have Herbert Burns versus Jack Jenkins. Herbert Burns is going to quit. I got Jack Jenkins by finish. Probably first round. Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. This is a tough one. I want to say Luana Santos. Then you have Joshua Colibao versus Ricardo Ramos. I think that Joshua Colibao is going to put a beating of Ricardo Ramos. We're going to be a little surprised. Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. I don't know Walter Walker. I am not gonna lie to you guys, but he's 11-1 fighting Junior Tafa. I think that UFC is trying to give him still. I think the UFC is still trying to give Junior Tafa a layup. So I'm gonna give it to Junior Tafa. And now the early prelims, we have Jesus Aguilar versus Stuart Nickel. I'm gonna go with Stuart Nickel. I've watched one of his fights. He's a decent grappler. He'll be going against Jesus Aguilar, who himself is a really good jiu-jitsu guy. So, but I'm going to go with Stuart Nickel because he's fighting from home, right? Sankanan versus Rigland. I'm gonna go with Sankanan. And Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. I'm gonna go with Tom Nolan. So this is it for the breakdown of UFC 305. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe. You know the good things. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out. Because I'm out.